the unveiling of this beautiful portrait. I think everybody's going to be very impressed by what Dr. Bolsche and Frank have been able to do for us here. I want to welcome specifically Joe Molesky's family who's here tonight. Joe Molesky is the individual that's photographed in the photo, and Frank Schramm, the photographer who took this picture back in 1979 and kept the negative all these years so that Dr. Bolsche could enlarge it for us. So thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
We have Ron Downey from the office of Jerry Knowles, State Representative Jerry Knowles' office. We have some of our friends from Coaldale Borough Council, Mayor Irv Wilden, Yvonne Stock.
The story behind this is really that Frank, the photographer, Frank Schramm, and I grew up together. And Frank's father was an obstetrician gynecologist at St. Luke's, and my father was in ear, nose, and throat, and chief of the ENT department. Through the years, Frank became an illustrious and world-renowned photographer, and we always remained very close. And one of Frank's many gifts to me was this particular photograph that had roots back to my grandmother, who was born in the coal regions. My grandfather worked for the railroad, which transported the coal down to the steel company, and everyone else in my family grew up as a steel worker, including myself. I happened to look at this portrait one day because of my long career at coming to miners to see patients in the vascular clinic here. And I showed it to Wendy and I said, do you think this would find a place here at Miners Memorial? Because I felt that it really captured the strength of the miners. And she, of course, was very, very pleased with that idea. And then when we started down the path, our marketing department said, can you make the picture bigger? And so I called Frank and I said, what do you think about reprinting this as a larger format portrait? Was that Frank had taken this portrait in Tower City in 1979. And for those in the coal community, Tower City has a special place because of the Porter Tunnel mine disaster in 1977. We didn't know if we could identify this individual, and thankfully the internet now opens doors that we never could have anticipated. In a quick search on Google, I stumbled across a website called coalpale.com, which is truly a Facebook of the coal community. It's interesting that your member profile on coalpale.com will include things like what kind of coal burning devices do you have in your house. So I registered on Coalpale and became a member, and I was able to post this picture on the internet. And true to the nature of the coal community, they were embracing the idea of trying to identify this gentleman. We happened to be fortunate to have the true bloodhound, as it were, for this portrait here with us today. Glenn, if you would raise your hand. Glenn was able to connect with numerous members in the coal community who all connect with each other anyway. And he was able to identify who the member of, or who the gentleman was in this portrait. Even more fortunate than that was we were able to find Joe's family. And we're fortunate to have Helen Druskinis here and her daughters and Joe's great-grandson, who just happens to be named Luke.
Where did Joe go? I thought he was sticking around for us.
All right, everybody be careful. If I pull really hard, we might have some fun.